friends, I proudly present for your entertainment the magical mystery of the Vanishing Prince.
Well, I'd rather see the mystery of the Vanishing Orko.
Now, Father, be nice. Orko's been practicing this trick all week.
Adam, if you will please, enter the magic cabinet.
Well, I'm glad it's Adam in that box and not me. Oh, I hope you'll be all right.
And now for the magic words. Niggle, maggle, muggle, niggle. Prince of Eternia, disappear!
Oh, wait a minute.
Father!
That wasn't supposed to happen. I better reverse the spell. Niggle, maggle, muggle, mac, man at arms, please come back.
Uh-oh, now the king and queen are gone. And us too.
I did it again. I made everybody disappear but Adam. Adam, I better see if he's all right. Adam, are you still in there?
Phew, it sure got crowded in there.
I should have known better than to be anywhere near one of Orko's goofy tricks.
I think I used too much Biggle and not enough Muggle. If we could try just one more time.
I think we've had quite enough magic for today, Orko.
But Your Majesty.
Orko, I said no more magic.
But I'm not doing this.
You're not?
It's my magic pyramid. The one I left in Trolla. Trolla! Orko!
And the Masters of the Universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Hello, this is OptimusSolo, and welcome to the 26th chapter in Tales of Eternia. With me for this journey into the Masters of the Universe franchise, as always, is TFG1Mike. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing fine. And, sir, are you ready for the powers of Grayskull?
I guess.
I like the spirited excitement and enthusiasm. That's good.
Yeah.
And in this episode of Tales of Eternia, we'll be giving you our thoughts on episode 75, Trouble in Trolla, episode 76, The Great Book's Mystery, and episode 77, Origin of the Sorceress. So we hope you're ready, because it's time to go back to Eternia.
Wait a second. I thought we were doing some weird thing this week. Some weird middle episode. That's what I read last time in episode 25 at the end.
What?
Oh God, what was the name of that stupid episode? It wasn't that episode. It was a different episode.
I'm so confused right now.
The Great Books Mystery.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that episode that I read in the... I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to the first episode.
What?
Holy crap.
A young wizard named Snoob claimed he was too old for the job. He challenged your uncle to a duel of magics. And Montauk lost.
Impossible! My uncle's the best wizard in Trolla.
He's very upset, Orko.
I better go back to Trolla and have a talk with him.
I knew you'd want to help.
Well, I'd like to come along too, Orko. Your uncle's helped all of us in the past.
Gee, I'd take you along, but you're too big for the magic pyramid.
I'll have the Sorceress send Cringer and me through one of her magic gates.
Me? I don't want to go. I hate magic gates because they make my whiskers itch.
All right, Adam, you see the Sorceress, and we'll meet you at my uncle's house.
Come on, Cringer. We're going to Castle Grayskull.
Oh, joy!
I know what the hell it was. I read last time on episode 25, I read Trouble in Trolla, The Ice Age Cometh, because I remember cringing at that, because the first thing I thought of was, oh great, here we go, Ray Romano as a heffalump or whatever the hell. But did we have the schedule wrong or something in the episode 25 script? Because I swear that's what I read was Trouble in Trolla, The Ice Age Cometh, and Origin of the Sorceress. I remember that.
I'll pull it up. I don't think so.
I don't know. This is weird. But Trouble in Trolla, take it away.
No, you're just on drugs.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
No.
Okay. All right, we start today with episode 75, Trouble in Trolla, written by Larry DiTillio. The air date was Monday, September 24th, 1984. Orko's magic pyramid appears from Trolla, and Driel informs Orko that an upstart named Snoob has successfully challenged and succeeded Montork in his role as head of the Academy of Magic. Orko returns, bringing joy to the unhappily retired Montork, who explains that his magic inexplicably failed to work in a duel between him and Snoob. The Crimson Council made Snoob the new head of the Academy of Magic. He-Man uses the Sorceress portal to go to Trolla, where Orko and Driel sneak inside Snoob's house and discover Whiplash, who has been controlling Snoob through fear. Whiplash wants Snoob to teach him magic so that he can impress Skeletor. Whiplash's henchmen take Orko and Driel away to their fortress, where Whiplash reveals that he used a ray to weaken Montork when he was competing in the duel of magic against Snoob. Spurned, Snoob joins Orko and Driel. Whiplash unleashes his beast Skarg to combat the heroes, but the combined magic of Snoob, Orko, and Montork shrinks the Skarg into a harmless worm. He-Man traps the fleeing Whiplash in a treasure chest, and Orko forgives Snoob. So we had Whiplash as the evil warrior. We had all of the major masters, including King and Queen, make an appearance, and Sorceress. And the PSA was Orko and Man-at-Arms, about Snoob learning a lesson that young people and older people can work together and accomplish a great deal. It's all about age in this PSA, and not to write people off and to respect your elders. As far as Orko's fun facts, the Crimson Council, who appear in Montork's flashback, were introduced to the Trollan mythos in this episode, when later on in She-Ra, in the episode The Greatest Magic, which we will eventually get to, which I guess features Trolla, they bring back the Crimson Council, giving them speaking parts this time, so a little continuity there. And the Skarg was originally used in The Witch and the Warrior as a sand devil. So what did you think about this Trollan episode?
Well, we got to bring up that final fact, because there's a podcast out there done by the He-Man.org people called Roast Google, and I always wondered where the hell that came from, and now we know, because apparently the Trollans dying on Roast Google at the end of the episode.
Whatever that is.
I guess it's their version of turkey. I don't know.
What about the idea that we're going to go to Trolla, we're going to have an evil warrior there that's trying to learn magic and upset the Trollan lifestyle, and that...
I like it, I just don't like it was Whiplash. That's the only thing I don't like about it.
Why not?
He just doesn't seem to be a character that is mad. Like, he seems more brute force, like Beastman.
Maybe that's why he's trying to learn the magic.
Maybe, but like, I could see maybe. I couldn't see Triclops, because Triclops is more so about the technology. I could see maybe instead of trying to learn the magic, I could see Evelyn going there and trying to steal the magic. I'm not saying this is a bad episode in any means at all. I don't even think I have any Snake Mountain. Well, I have 2 Snake Mountain moments, but they're not majorly affecting my grade of this episode. I absolutely love this episode. I love returning to Trolla. Trolla is one weird-looking world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting looking world.
I like seeing Driel again. Was Snoob's voice the same voice as Cousin Yak, or whatever the hell Orko's cousin?
Snoob's was voiced by Erica Scheimer. who I'm trying to remember if she did the other, because this is one of the episodes that had a commentary track on it. So I got to listen to the commentary track, and this time it was Andy Mangold or whatever his name is, Larry DiTillio, Lou Scheimer, and Erica Scheimer. All did the commentary track together, so there was 4 of them on this one. So there was some interesting stuff, and they actually talked a little bit about the voice acting, among other things, which was interesting. But I don't know who all she has voiced on the show. She's voiced a lot of the kids, kind of like Linda Gary. I know specifically she did. Who was it? The Spirit of the Ancients and Justin and Prince Jeremy.
Right.
So she's done a few voices here and there.
The reason why I ask, and I know you know the character I'm talking about, Yak or Yuck or whatever. Yuckers, that's what it was.
She did not do that voice.
Okay. Because Snoob kind of sounded a little bit like that to me at first.
That makes sense.
A little bit. Not much.
Sometimes it's hard to decipher when it's Erica and when it's Linda Gary, and I'm sure it must have been Linda Gary that did actually, Yuckers was Alan Oppenheimer.
Huh. Weird.
So,
Snoob, his design, I guess Trollans have big noses. It looks weird to me.
They definitely did a good job of giving each Trollan a distinct look. Like they all have their thing, whether it be a hat or a letter or just some type of facial feature. They make them very distinct.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't really ever get 2 Trollans confused for each other.
Oh no. Overall, I like the plot. I think it's really interesting. I think it's interesting that a cartoon can actually inject continuity into itself at this time in the 80s, unlike certain other cartoons.
That was actually somewhat nice. I like the reference there for once.
Yeah.
I like the idea of there being an evil warrior in Trolla because that's really something we haven't seen. We've seen villains and stuff like that, but I didn't expect to see an actual evil warrior. And I think it's cool that he's there on his own, trying to impress Skeletor rather than Skeletor just having sent him. So I thought that was a cool kind of thing too. So I enjoyed the idea of the plot and the premise for it, and then it just comes down to how well will they execute this, which we'll get into. But as far as just a random plot with his uncle being upseated from his spot and there being little behind the scenes mischief going on as to why his uncle was unseated, I like that part of the plot.
Yeah. I think that was very well executed, though, that we didn't, usually we'll find out right away. As soon as they say something, as soon as they say, oh, well, I got unseated by Snoob, and I don't know what happened. My magic just stopped working. I like how DiTillio wrote that to where the reveal of Whiplash, even though I don't care that it's Whiplash doing it, the reveal wasn't done right away, so it didn't cheapen how the episode would end up later.
Right. So, outside of that, some interesting notes from the commentary as far as how they did the voice acting. Apparently, when it was Lou and Erica, they would come in and they would record. She was the voice director, which I guess I didn't know that. She was the voice director, and what she would do is she'd get Lou in there, and he would do the whole script and one of his characters. So he would do all his lines for Uncle Montork or whatever, and then they would go back through the whole script and do all of his lines as another character, and then go back through and do all his lines as another character, and she would do the same thing. Meanwhile, all the regulars, Alan Oppenheimer, John Irwin, Linda Gary, whatever, would be together doing their parts. Yeah. But I'm guessing Lou was too busy with all his other work at Filmation to be out on those sessions most of the time, so he would do his lines separate. Which was somewhat interesting. And another reason, because obviously Alan Oppenheimer, John Irwin, Linda Gary, etc., they mentioned the whole rule about, when they were doing a recording session, they could only do, the 3 characters per contract. So if they were going to do more characters, they had to get paid more. So that's why you see them doing 2 or 3 characters an episode, where Lou sometimes does 4 or 5, 6 characters in a couple episode time frame. So some interesting stuff from the commentary, a little more interesting than the last commentary I listened to when it was just...
What was the last one you listened to?
It was just Larry DiTilio and Andy Mangels. I mean, it was somewhat interesting, but it didn't have as much as when you get Lou and Lou and Erica both in there. And there's another one. I'll be listening to all the commentaries I can going forward, just because it might give us a little bit of extra information to talk about. But let you know if it's worth listening to or not. But this one was definitely worth listening to. It was the first commentary that Lou did for any of the sets, was this episode. So I believe he does a few more, but he was even saying how much he enjoyed it, and how it was a lot of fun doing the commentary and whatnot on it. So
yeah, I do know, and this is jumping ahead to the 30th anniversary of He-Man's sister, but I do know he and Erica are also on the Secret of the Sword commentary, the film version, not the broken up episodes, and there's a lot of information in that as well. So we'll, when we get there, we'll most definitely have to talk about that.
Right. All right. Well, we'll see what things caught our interest in a good way as we travel to Castle Grayskull for the first time today.
The gate to Trolla is ready, Adam.
Ready for our little trip, Crimson?
I told you before, I don't want to go. Orko's dimension is full of spooky stuff.
Oh, don't be silly.
I'm not being silly. I'm being careful. And I'm also not going.
All right, if you won't go with me, I know someone who will.
Good.
Namely, Battlecat. I got power of Grayskull.
That's cheating!
This episode is the tits.
Oh, man. All right, it's time for the good moments from Trouble in Trolla. Here we go. How about lately the Sorceress is on a roll of actually being helpful. She's actually doing things that help out, shrinking people, sending them through portals, and using her magic in a way that actually works, and she's not overpowered. Yep. So she's on a roll. Let's see how long that lasts. I like the idea of the Crimson Council, and I also like the idea of the whole backstory that they gave in Trolla, and all the information that we got. That's probably the most background we've gotten on another world, planet, area in the entire series so far. So I like that, and I like the idea that we'll see him again in the She-Ra series. And I also, like I said, I like the idea of an evil warrior being in Trolla. That's something different. And I actually thought it was good getting a solo Whiplash episode. I'm not saying that there wasn't other people that might have been more suited for this specific episode, but I like the idea of him not just being this, because he was kind of never given an episode, and he was just like this side character, henchman that didn't really speak that much. So giving him a whole episode really got us a better look at him and a little more knowledge about him as a character. I think it's cool when they keep introducing new Trollans. Like I said, each one has its distinct look and personality, whatever. So it makes that world bigger when it's not just Driel every time. We've had Uncle Montork, we've had Snoop, we've had Yuckers. So that's kind of cool. It would have been cool to see Yuckers in this episode as just a small cameo. And I thought it was kind of funny that they chose to capture Whiplash in a treasure chest, out of all things.
I'll get to that later.
So what about you? What were good things about this episode?
I love Cringer not wanting to go. I will never not like, and it's so, that scene right there is so funny because he keeps refusing to go, and Adam's like, okay, well, I'll find somebody else to go with me. He's like, oh, that's okay with me. Namely, Battlecat. Adam, that's cheating.
Right.
Absolutely. I love that. That is so amazing. You've pretty much hit the Trollan characters on nail on the head kind of thing. It's always nice seeing the Trollan characters again. I love when we do go back there because, let's face it, Orko doesn't get enough credit. Orko doesn't get enough, not necessarily backstory, but doesn't get enough. Because the whole point of Orko is, on his world, he is a, wizard. His magic does work on his world, whereas for some odd reason, on Eternia, his magic doesn't work. So it's always nice seeing a more competent Orko. The animation in this episode was amazing. I mean, I don't think there was one point in the animation that I did not like it, except for a certain size differential that I'll talk about when we get to Snake Mountain. But the actual animation, I didn't notice any errors. There are certain stock animation things, but we already know about that. But other than that, I mean, I loved looking at this one. It was great.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty, and they do have fun. Another thing they talked about was they liked having the Trolla episodes because it gave everybody a chance to do new things with the backgrounds, new things with the items that are going to be shown. Kind of gave a break to the animators and the designers to just kind of not limit them to what it had been in Eternia and just give them a way to just go crazy. So
at the end, Whiplash looks like he has a hot foot because Triel dropped the worm in his boot, but he's jumping around like his foot's on fire.
Yeah. Anything else that you found in Castle Grayskull?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, you mentioned a few things about Snake Mountain, so let's see exactly what you were talking about with those.
So, you got here safe and sound, did you? I don't know what you're up to, alligator breath, but you won't get away with it. What are you gonna do with them, Whiplash? I think I'll leave that up to the crew. I never thought I'd see the head of the Trolla Academy of Magic dealing with villains. You should be ashamed of yourself, Snoob.
Orko's right. What kind of a Trollan are you?
He's the scared kind. And if he's smart, he'll stay that way. My uncle would never have taken that from a bully like him. That's why I helped this wimp beat your uncle. What do you mean? I wouldn't have dueled with Montauk myself. You never could have beaten Montauk without me. I hid nearby during the duel and used a ray on him that weakened his power for a while. I knew it. I knew Snoob could never beat my uncle fairly. What have I done? I was so proud of myself, and now it's not too late. You can still do the right thing. Stop Whiplash.
All right, we find ourselves at Snake Mountain today for the first time to see what Mike didn't like about Trouble in Trolla.
So you have nothing?
No, I have a couple.
Okay, I was going to say. I only have two. When someone says, quote, "That is the most dangerous beast on Trolla," you do not go rushing in to face it, you more. I mean, I swear to God, Snoob was pulling a T-Bob moment right there. It's like, oh my God, you don't do that. And honestly, how the hell could Whiplash fit in that chest?
Because it's He-Man.
Squeezed him. I call bullshit on that, just like you call bullshit on He-Man being able to stop natural disasters. That's ridiculous.
Fair enough.
What do you got?
I did not like the whole, just the overall action in this episode. Mm-hmm. I thought could be seen as a little boring. There wasn't much as far as action goes. It was a lot more just storytelling and situational type stuff. So if you're looking for a He-Man episode that has like action and fighting and things like that, I don't think this would be the ideal episode for you. But that's just kind of a nitpick. And then Roast Google, that was weird. I don't know about all that, but not a lot necessarily negative about this episode. I can see some people really liking this episode, and I can see some people not caring for it as much. But I don't think either group would be able to say too many bad things about it.
No.
Some people it wouldn't be the episode for them, but it was still done pretty well. There wasn't like a bunch of stuff to hate about it.
Absolutely no. I mean, they're like, and Snoob might be the, I guess you could call him a kid character. Might be the best kid character out of the show.
Yeah.
Because all the other ones, like, if I was gonna have like a mile long list of Snake Mountain moments, it would have to do with him if he was any worse than what he was. But he wasn't that bad of a kid kind of character. Overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought there was enough action for what the episode was. There could have been a little more, but I mean, overall, it was very, very enjoyable and not a whole lot of things to bitch about on a podcast.
Uh-oh, it looks like you might have a good rating in store for us, so let's see what that is.
What is it? Orko and Triel captured by Chromes. Oh no! What are we going to do?
Maybe I can lend a hand.
He-Man, am I glad to see you? You gotta help me save Orko and Triel.
Let's go.
This place gives me the hip and hoobies.
It's not exactly a picnic spot, is it?
It's time for hardware, and it seems like we're going to be in a positive first step for today's episode. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Mike, what, as far as Power Swords and Havoc Staffs, did you feel like on this episode?
I'm going to give one to Orko. Even though he only forgave Snoob because Driel begged him to do so, it is a good message that you should always be, forgiving of people that, sometimes do make mistakes. And Cringer, and anytime Cringer refuses and has funny lines, he always gets a power sword.
All right, so we have rules now for Cringer and the Power Sword. Like I said, I didn't necessarily feel like there was anything bad about this episode. I actually liked the episode, but there wasn't a whole lot of things that stood out either way, so I'm not going to hit anybody with a Havoc Staff, and I'm actually not going to hand out any Power Swords either. Not meaning this is a bad episode. I just don't think anybody stood out in one direction or the other. Mm-hmm. So, rating-wise, how do we start today?
4 out of 5 Orcos, only because of the treasure chest thing. That just doesn't work for me.
A whole point for a treasure chest. Yep. I'm going to give this 4, but nothing to do with the treasure chest. I think it was a good, solid episode. Could have had a little more action. Could have had a little more standout characters, etc. But overall, it was a good episode. Good way to start today. So we are both in agreement with 4 and 4 out of 5. And we'll see if that can continue as we head to episode 76.
I can't find it anyplace. I've looked everywhere. It simply disappeared.
Don't be silly, Orko. Books just don't disappear.
Well, this one did.
Oh, think, Orko, think. Where was the book when you last saw it?
I put it right there. It's all about unicorns with lots of pictures. It was Adam's birthday present. What am I going to do?
His birthday is tomorrow. I'd help you look, but it's time for Adam's gym lesson.
Who would steal a book about unicorns?
I'll show you again. Grab, pull up, grab, pull up. It's easy. Look out below! If I can do it, you can do it.
But you're as nimble as a cat.
Not all cats are nimble. You'd never catch me trying that.
Come on, Adam.
All right, one more time.
It's too painful to watch.
It's time for episode 76, The Great Books Mystery, written by Harvey Brenner, air date Tuesday, September 25th, 1984. And all of the books of Eternia have disappeared, so the heroic warriors investigate the situation. Tila and Orko follow a trail of books to the Temple of the Sun, where they encounter Batros, the winged villain from the dark side of Eternia, who steals books because he knows that knowledge is the most valuable power of all. Skeletor sends Beastman and Trapjaw to capture Batros so he can combine forces with such an impressive intellectual. Batros agrees to go with Beastman because he wants to join Skeletor. Sorceress sends He-Man and Battlecat to the Temple of the Sun, but they go to Grayskull when Man-at-Arms informs them that Skeletor and Batros are planning an assault on the castle. Batros produces a bridge of hardened snakes to cross the moat, but He-Man stops him. After Skeletor vanishes, Batros drops He-Man into the abyss, but he climbs back to the top and throws Batros back to the dark side of Eternia. He-Man discovers that all the books have been moved from the Temple of the Sun and decides to confront Skeletor at Snake Mountain. Thinking he has He-Man and Battlecat trapped, Skeletor reveals the hidden books underneath the mountain. He-Man breaks free and returns the books to the royal palace, where the royal family celebrate Prince Adam's 19th birthday. As far as the masters, we have He-Man, and the main ones there, with King, Queen, Sorceress, everybody. And bad guys, we have Skeletor, Beastman, Trapjaw, and then a non-speaking appearance from Triclops and Merman. And the PSA is all about the value of books. And as far as Orko's fun facts, Professor Smallin, and this is his second appearance. He was in Keeper of the Ancient Ruins, so we have a recurring character there. The Temple of the Sun also makes a reappearance from the episode Temple of the Sun. Batros went through numerous design changes, but at all times he had his bat-like symbol reminiscent of the Evil Horde logo. And like I said, Prince Adam's birthday cake has 19 candles on top, revealing that up until this point in the series he was 18 and possibly even younger in the earliest episodes. Let's deal with his age first.
Oh, okay. He sounds 18, 19-ish, but He-Man himself, when he transforms, he sounds like he's 30 or 40.
Yeah.
That's just the sound. How else do you want to deal with?
I mean,
the
that's
age?
why I've always kind of I always thought the voice coming out of Prince Adam was weird, just because it didn't just sound less muscly; he sounded younger. And I guess I know now if he was trying to portray an 18 or 19-year-old, why his voice would have sounded like that. And apparently, once he's He-Man, he can just sound like his regular adult, 30-year-old self. But I just never knew that he was that young. I've always figured he was in mid-20s or something like that in this series. But I guess now we know the age of He-Man, or at least Adam.
I don't know what. Well, they're the same person, so technically He-Man is also 19 years old. Oh, God. I do know once we get to Masters of Grayskull, reviewing the 2002 cartoon, I do know that they specifically stated on the commentaries for those episodes that Adam and Teela are 16 years old.
Gotcha.
So,
How about this plot here, which you can say nothing about this plot except for that it is 100% supposed to be or intended to be an episode that teaches kids the value of books.
This entire episode was a PSA on books.
Yes, 100%.
Not that that's a bad thing, but the entire episode is a PSA on books and reading his knowledge. And it surprised me that even Skeletor says to Beastman, "You idiot! Jewels aren't the most powerful thing. It's knowledge that's the most powerful thing." And so even Skeletor recognizes the importance of books. I liked it. It was interesting. It's not like gonna make a top 10 list of episodes of favorite episodes. It's probably not one that I'll go back to often. But it's not a bad episode in any means. There are a few bad things about it, but
I'll get to it at Castle Grayskull. I don't mind, that we're going to try to teach kids the value of books, etc. And there is action and there's evil warriors involved, so I'm not going to complain about that. It's not probably my all-time favorite episode of the series, but it's by far better than average.
Well,
I think it's better than average, at least for me, and I'll get to why as we get to Castle Grayskull.
Professor Smallin, if you'll excuse me, I have something important to do.
I'm afraid my son doesn't take this problem seriously.
We must find those books.
Can it wait? I've plans for a cat nap. Uh-oh.
By the power of Grayskull!
It's time for Castle Grayskull moments for episode 76, The Great Books Mystery, and I will start because I have 3 words for you that sum up all of the Castle Grayskull moments for this episode, and that is Batros, Batros, Batros. I love the design of this character. This character should be an evil warrior, or this character should be a person sent from the Horde and Hordak, like back in time or something like this. This should be a recurring character. This character looked great. He had the Horde like bat symbol on him. He had the outfit that made him look like like He-Man does, or like a bunch of them with the the belt and the strap and everything like that. I liked his voice. I liked the way he interacted with the evil warriors. He didn't come across as just a bumbling idiot. I thought this guy could have been a great addition to the Evil Warrior crew. So I liked everything about him in this episode.
Yeah. Well, Skeletor even says to Beastman that, he says, this Batros guy is even more intelligent than most of my other warriors,
They made Beastman look like a little cowering fool in this episode.
Yeah.
It took away all credibility he had as a bad person.
Yeah.
But I just like Batros a lot. What about you? What were good things that you liked in this episode?
I know this character wasn't introduced until 1986, but the series was running at the time of this episode. And I wrote down, Skeletor rhymes like Wheelie.
When did he appear like Wheelie?
Rhymes like
Wheelie.
Wheelie.
Oh, rhymes like him. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Rhymes like Wheelie.
Gotcha.
I love that Trapjaw got all strung up. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Again, Orko is actually, proving his worth, so that's always a good thing. So He-Man's wrist gauntlet is also a communicator now?
I like
Interesting. I like it. It's like... It's a little strange, but I don't have an actual problem with it. I enjoyed it. Other than that, overall, the episode's really enjoyable, for the most part.
Because
there are some... I guess.
Maybe I like him more than other people, but I'm really thinking we're going to have to do like a list when we finish the series of the one-off characters or the evil character of the week, the best ones that should have been recurring or should have been members of the Evil Warriors or the Masters or whatever, best guest characters of the whole series or something like that. Because Batros would probably be an early nomination for me. All right, let's see what evil things we can find at Snake Mountain.
How terribly clever of me to take the books. When the people of Eternia find out, they will force the king to step down, and they will name me Brilliant Batros, the Emperor of all Eternia.
Batros, he's someone I could almost respect.
If Batros is so smart, how come he stole the books instead of the gold and the jewels?
Because unlike you, Batros has a brain. What he has taken is more precious than gold or jewels.
Books.
Of course, you worthless hunk of fur. Books are the real treasures of the world. Bring him to me.
Now?
Yes, now, dummy. I can use his clever brain to help me once and for all to capture Grayskull and its secrets.
Low light time for the Great Books Mystery. I got a couple things here that I'd like to get off my chest. First of all, they even put the line here, books are the real treasures of the world. I understand that you're trying to make books sound interesting and valuable to kids. Let's not be too forceful with it, though. There's one point where He-Man's trying to outrun a tornado.
We all know how you hate He-Man versus the weather.
Yeah, so they have He-Man on side of cliff or whatever, side of river, tornado following him. They cut away, they cut back, and He-Man is magically on the other side of the river now. He must have jumped a football-length field over to the other side in a moment's notice. I didn't actually have a problem with how he destroys the tornado this time as much, because it's a little bit more feasible, but I have a problem with him vaulting 100 yards without any explanation of how he did that. Just a little animation flub maybe or something, but I don't know. Is Trapjaw really that dumb?
Yes.
Because he's standing there, Orko gets the rope, does the thing, they pull the rope out right in front of him, and he trips over it.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you would not have seen that coming, but since he was there the entire time while they devised this setup, he probably shouldn't have ran into it.
Well, it's your standard run into trap, get caught by trap.
Yeah, but he was too close to it while it was being set up.
Yeah.
And then probably the biggest part of the episode that I had a problem with is these books are all important and all whatever. I'm not 100% sure, and I'll let it slide, but I'm not 100% sure how Batros stole them all in the first place, or how they're transporting these books from place to place, or if it's just a magic snap of a finger and they appear. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and all the books are in the Temple of the Sun. Fine. All right, these books are super important enough that we have to send He-Man, call for him, and we got to get these books back, man, or we can't live without them. Fine, whatever. They find the things, and then Man-at-Arms says, hey, they're about to attack Castle Grayskull. and now we just leave the books. Like, I get that it's important, Castle Grayskull's under attack, but maybe someone stays with the books, maybe we call somebody in to grab the books while we do that. The whole episode was about saving these books.
Orko and Tila did go back.
Well, I know, but the whole idea was about saving these books, and then He-Man immediately leaves them unguarded and goes off to Castle Grayskull, and guess what happens? They get taken again. So as important as these books are, it seemed like that wasn't too important for them to actually make sure, now that they finally located them, that they would do anything to secure them. So a minor problem with that whole writing. What about you?
What is He-Man doing at Grayskull? Have you not seen the previous 75 episodes of the series, Skeletor? Like, I get it if they meant it in the tone of Skeletor wondering why He-Man went to Grayskull, but he says it as if he doesn't know why He-Man would actually be there.
Yeah.
That's He-Man's base. I mean, come on now. I'm okay, it's not his... You know what I mean? But generally, it's his base. Whereas Snake, that's like He-Man asking, "Why would Skeletor be at Snake Mountain?" Well, duh, he lives there.
Right.
The books, the shot of the books, it was more than a few, but it wasn't like a whole library's worth. Come on, Tila makes this big thing about, we got to get all these books back to blah blah blah. It was maybe one room of books. One maybe I would say 10 by 12 room of books, like jail cell type of room of full of it wasn't like a 5-story library full of books, because every other room in the entire Temple of the Sun was empty.
Right.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but for once, Orko, listen to Tila. It's like, Jesus Christ. And then Tila, she immediately, basically reneges on what I just said, because then she's like, all right, I'll come back with you. Elastium, really? They had to make up a name for rubber bands. They couldn't just say rubber band. Oh, God.
Yep.
All
right, well, that sounded somewhat negative. We gave the last episode each 4 out of 5. Let's see where we go to this one, if it's as bad as we made it sound, or if it's some redeeming qualities here.
While the Sorceress is watching Beastman's squad, we'll sneak across the moat from this side.
And how do you propose to do that?
There's our bridge of snakes. After you, my dear Skeletor.
And turn my back to you? Oh no! You lead the way.
I hope this isn't a private party. Take care of Beastman and the others, Battle Cat. Maybe you need fresh batteries for your lasers, Batros.
I think it's time for me to leave and take care of another matter.
All right, it's time for Power Swords and Havoc Staffs, and I do have one this episode, even though I did not last one, and I don't think it's going to be a mystery to anybody here. But Power Sword to one J. Michael Batros. Batros here, Power Sword, because he was fantastic. What about you?
Nope, none.
All right. As far as ratings go, honestly, ideally, or normally, an episode like this, I would probably rate 2.5 to 3.5, somewhere in there. Yeah. Just because it's just kind of somewhat in the middle. Might be a little bad, might be a little better. But strictly for the introduction of Batros and his involvement in this, saved the episode for me all the way up to a point where I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5.
3. It's middle of the road for me. Batros didn't annoy me as much as some of the other non-general Evil Warrior characters, like some of the wizards that have shown up and stuff like that. Batros is cool. I like his design, but he didn't do enough. I kind of wish he wouldn't have teamed up with Skeletor and just done something on his own with the books. But the episode itself, outside of Batros, the episode by itself, it's middle of the road
I
for
agree
me.
with
So 3 out of 5.
I agree that it's middle of the road. I think I just like Batros that much more than you. That he's enough to propel it up to a 4. So we're somewhat positive here. 1, 3, and 3 4s so far, and we're headed into the last episode for today. So let's see if it can keep up the streak or if it lets us down. Episode 77. It's got a good title. It's Origin of the Sorceress. Coming up next.
Well, Man-at-Arms hasn't come out of his laboratory for days, working on his new invention. Must be something really special.
Just can't stand the suspense, huh?
Of course I can. Doesn't bother me at all.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, Orko.
Man-at-Arms! Is it finished?
See for yourself.
Wow! It's a horse!
His name is Stridor. He has terrific strength and a computer system that can detect trouble quickly. The perfect companion for He-Man. I don't understand. Stridor's only supposed to do that to warn us of some danger. But there's no danger here.
Uh-oh!
It's heading straight for the palace. We've got to stop it.
Quick, everyone, scatter!
All right, it's up for debate. How will we end the day today? Episode 77, Origin of the Sorceress, written by J. Michael Straczynski. Air date of Wednesday, September 26, 1984. Man-at-Arms introduces his latest invention, the robot horse, Stridor. A meteor shower at the Royal Palace alerts the Sorceress to the return of Morgoth, the Terrible. She explains to He-Man that Morgoth was a wizard who sought too much power and was banished to another dimension by the Ancients. They journey to Dark Mountain to prepare for the return of Morgoth. While there, the Sorceress explains her origin story, which began when Morgoth invaded her small village. Morgoth, with an army of alien invaders, imprisoned the Sorceress, then known as Tilana. A fellow prisoner told Tilana the legend of Castle Grayskull, where hope may be found. She escaped her captors at night and searched out the castle. A voice beckoned her inside, where she found Kuduk Ungol, the former Sorceress. She offered Tilana the power to defend her village, but only if she replaced her as the guardian of Castle Grayskull. Tilana accepted, and Ungol lowered her into the pool of power. Tilana emerged changed as the Falcon Zor. The Sorceress liberated her village by destroying the ship controls of the alien invaders and sending Morgoth back to his dimension. In the present day, Morgoth's symbolic ring of fire appears, and he drops his magic gem into the Eternian soil, placing a force field around it, which no living creature can breach. Stridor pushes through the barrier and kicks the gem out of the field before falling to Morgoth's blasts. He-Man destroys the gem, sending Morgoth back in exile. He-Man carries Stridor back to the laboratory where Man-at-Arms' electrode thought monitor reveals that Stridor wants to be free. They release Stridor into the wild before the Sorceress returns to Grayskull.
Okay, first off, I have to slightly correct you. What is the name of the old lady? Not our Sorceress, the other one.
It was Kuduk Ungol.
Okay. Think of those two names, first name, last name. Now think of the Sorceress. It's not Tilana, it's Tilana.
It's Tilana.
Na is her. No, it's not Tilana, it's Tilana.
Oh, is that how they said it?
Tilana. Na is her last name.
Right. I know it's Tila. I get that, but I just couldn't
No,
remember
I'm saying the separation between Tila and Na. Na is the no one would call you.
I don't know if it was her last name.
I think so.
I think that's just how you said the word Tilana. So we had the major masters. We didn't have any of the evil warriors, and the PSA was about taking the responsibility to care about your fellow men. A man, if you have a friend who needs help, who's having a difficult time, do what you can to help them out, etc. Orko's fun facts. Unfortunately, a large part, roughly 2 minutes of the flashback sequence was actually lost when this episode was distributed on video back in the 80s. The script explicitly states that the invaders are the Horde from the She-Ra series. And the reason Morgoth appears to be very angry to invade immediately is due to a line removed from the episode where the three warriors decide to conquer Eternia for themselves. And when Man-at-Arms refers to Stridor as the perfect companion for He-Man, originally Cringer objected to this comment. Continuity. This is the only episode to reference She-Ra, Princess of Power. Although the script associates the alien invaders with the evil Horde and they wear the red bat symbol of the organization, the connection is never stated within the episode itself. May have been deliberate effort to avoid revealing key plot points in The Secret of the Sword. But the secret of the sword reveals that the Horde attempted to conquer Eternia before being driven off by the Sorceress and other heroes. So this story appears to be intended as a prologue to those events, to establish how the Horde first learned of Eternia in the first place, and why Eternia was uniquely prepared to repel them when they finally returned in force. And I guess it does say the Sorceress' real name is Tila Na, illustrates her connection to her daughter, which is first revealed in Tila's quest. And Kudak Ungol entrusts Tila Na with the Swords of Power, which are clearly He-Man's Sword of Power and She-Ra's Sword of Protection. So there's all kinds of stuff going on with this episode. What were your thoughts about it?
I loved it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was really interesting that these swords were just hanging out on a wall.
Right.
And yeah, I guess you could say that He-Man facing the Horde-like creatures in this episode, I guess in the present day, we're supposed to believe that he has, like, all of Eternia has the spell cast on them from the Sorceress.
Well, he doesn't see any of them. He doesn't battle any of them.
Yes, he does.
No.
Doesn't he?
No, it's just Morgoth in the current day. It's just Morgoth trying to come out of that ring of fire.
Oh, so he didn't actually... Okay.
Yeah, the only people that were battling them was in the flashback.
Okay, I was going to say, because what I was going to say was, if He-Man had battled them, I guess you could say that by now, in the present day, she had already cast a spell for everybody to forget Adora and the Horde, and he would be like, hey, who are these guys? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it wasn't necessary, because they did it very carefully to make sure that it was just in the flashback where they actually appeared. Right. But just the whole thought that went into this episode, and the idea, like I said, that it's the Horde's first attempt to get there, that they don't ignore that, and they connect that later with the Secret of Sword, and then lines specifically in there, and into the She-Ra series, and that the whole Sorceress connection, the fact that they remembered all those things and intentionally did that, makes this an incredible episode. I love...
Oh, it does, absolutely.
Love origin episodes. Love that it's the origin of the Sorceress. Love that we learn that there is a different Sorceress beforehand, but we're going to get too much into Castle Grayskull moments. But as far as like a plot, the plot of telling the backstory of the Sorceress is good enough for me.
Yeah, it was absolutely very, very interesting. I think and I know we're not there yet, I think if I was to rate this and the episode in the 2002 series that they do for her origin, I'd probably give a slight edge to that one, because that one basically takes this episode and Tila's quest and pushes the continuity into one, where in the 2002 series they give you the origin of how the Sorceress was, how she met her husband, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We'll get to that, but no, I love this episode. I love the plot. There was no beats in the writing or the story, the execution that were god-awful at all. I wish that they would do more stuff like this.
Yeah.
Instead of Villain of the Week or Wizard of the Week or, Bad of the Week.
Well, maybe we will get a little more like it. I don't know. I mean, they are trying to tie things in and setting up the She-Ra series and the movie, etc. So maybe we'll get little bits and pieces. But this was by far cool to finally see something with a little connectivity between all the stuff. So we'll see what kind of places we go from here. But before we unveil them all, let's get over to Castle Grayskull so we can talk about all the good moments of this episode.
By the power of Grayskull!
Thank you for coming, He-Man. The one responsible for the Wheel of Fire was called Morgoth the Terrible.
Was he a sorcerer?
Yes, once, a very long time ago. He sought to rule Eternia and the universe itself. He sought more power than any mortal should. He became a giant, immortal, with terrible powers. Just in time, the ancients cast him into a prison zone, a dimension from which there would be no return.
Until now, that is.
That is correct, He-Man.
So, what's our first step?
We must journey to Dark Mountain. For that, I must call up the Crystal of Alinar, which will allow me to use my powers and maintain my true form outside Castle Grayskull. And now, we must go to prepare for the coming of Morgoth.
All right, highlights. I'm going to say all mine, and then we'll see if you have any left. No, I mean, obviously the origin story for the Sorceress. We've been dying for origin stories. We finally get one in season 2 here. It's awesome. It's awesome that it ties into the Tila episode from season 1. It's awesome that it ties into the movie. It's awesome that it ties into the She-Ra series. It's awesome all the way around. They did not miss a beat. They did not ignore stuff. They did not forget stuff later on. They connected some dots, which is excellent. Seeing Horde members for the first time is great, and seeing the history of how they learned about Eternia, etc. And it was also cool, I don't know if you caught this, but another by the power of Grayskull moment, not from He-Man, coming from the original Sorceress, or the Sorceress before Tila Na, where she says by the power of Grayskull. So it was kind of cool seeing somebody else say that. But there's just so many good things all across the board. Definitely seeing the other Sorceress and her interaction with the new Sorceress and how they came into that situation. There were so many good things about this episode that you should just watch it. Absolutely. But what do you have, Mike?
Did you notice a certain... I guess this was a flub vocally, but did you notice I love the opening of the episode where this ring of fire starts firing and Man-at-Arms is like, everybody scatter, and then immediately, as soon as everybody scatters, Adam goes to pull the sword. When he pulls the sword, there's a vocal echo on his voice when he says, by the power of Grayskull. People would have just heard it in the Grayskull Moments clip here in the podcast, but I tend to notice crap like that when it's not necessarily a bad thing. I thought it was really cool that they did that. But like, if the lightning changes during his, like the lightning sound effect changes, I'll notice that kind of stuff. These swords of power, woohoo! I love seeing those things. This is so awesome.
I love that they were just both chilling there, like you said.
Yeah. Finally, we see the Sorceress actually being competent with her magic. Like, she did everything in this episode, in that flashback, to get rid of those guys.
Right.
That was amazing. Great to see the origin. Interesting that the Horde was a part of it all from the beginning. It's weird but awesome seeing the Swords of Power, especially weird seeing the Sword of Protection before Secret of the Sword. And I mean, I guess, it goes in line with what you're saying. They're building continuity. They are building up to Secret of the Sword and She-Ra. But I remember watching Secret of the Sword when I was a kid and be like, Sorceress just pulling this jeweled hilted sword out of her butt, and it's like, hey, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice seeing it here to where it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, it was very awesome, very awesome. I only have one Snake Mountain moment. I don't think it's worth the journey to go there. But what about you? Were there anything that you didn't like in this
just
one?
have a couple of nitpicks that aren't full-on Snake Mountain moments. I thought his transformation was a little bit out in the open. Maybe not the most careful transformation we've seen.
No.
And wait a second. Has the Sorceress always had this crystal that she can just use to stay as the Sorceress outside of the castle? Because if she has always had it, this could have been handy a couple times.
Get out of my head. Stop reading my notes, you jerk. So why is it now that she pulls the crystal out of her feathers to explain why being her true... I know in the last 25 episodes, probably in the first 14 or 15 episodes of Tales of Eternia, there were many times where I complained about her being in her true form outside of the castle. This would have been nice to have back then.
Now it explains all of that away. He put that in here and helped out every writer that wrote before him. Well, we might not have needed to go to Snake Mountain, but we definitely need to go to the award ceremony room, because I have a feeling there's lots of stuff to give out for this episode.
Absolutely.
Finally, you must preserve and protect the Swords of Power until the day comes when they may be claimed. Tirana, I know your heart. I know that you are worthy, but the decision is yours. I accept. Then, by the power of Grayskull, Let it be done.
All right, it's time to keep gushing over episode 77, Origin of the Sorceress. Power Sword, obviously for me, will be politely presented to the Sorceress for having a kick-ass background story, for kicking ass in the background story, and just for being all kinds of awesome. This is probably her best episode so far, so Power Sword to the Sorceress.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Same here. Power Sword to the Sorceress. I mean, this made her
more than just a random sorceress that we don't know how, why, or what about.
Right. This made her more than meets the eye, is what this made her, because we finally get her background. We finally see that she wanted to save her village, and this was the only way to do it. And the fact that a young girl would give that up, and I know that this series is kind of like Eternia is kind of set in olden times.
Right.
I mean, sure, they have high tech fly, they have sky sleds and attack tracks and battle rams and whatever else, but like a lot of these villages, even when we get to She-Ra, I think it's meant to be like late 1800, early 1900s. That's how I see it. I could be wrong.
Well, I view it even before that. I view it way back.
Yeah. But everything about this is amazing. It really, really is.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be in the running for one of the best episodes of the series in my book. It's an easy 5 Battle Cats out of 5 for me.
Same here for Orcos, 5 out of 5 Orcos.
So we're in agreement. The first episode today was 4s, 4 and 3 on the second episode, and both on 5s on this one. If you haven't seen a He-Man episode in a long time, this would probably be a good one for you to watch, just so you don't view some piece of crap and write off the whole series, because there's definitely good stuff in here along the way.
Is this the first episode we've ever both rated a 5?
No,
okay.
There's been a few more that we'll give in the wrap-up of the entire series. I did want to say that this is what we've been looking for. This is what we've been searching for when we give our overall thoughts of the series. So now that we've got that, I guess we can see what we think and what we're looking for next.
Hi! In our tale today, Snoop learned a very important lesson. He found out that when young people and older people work together, they can accomplish a great deal. You see, older people have experience that can help young people if they're willing to listen, and that's why you should always respect older people and pay attention to the advice they give you.
Well, Orko, for once you're right.
Aren't I always?
Until later.
Kid?
Yes?
Shut up.
Beyond the Night is the GCRN's latest review podcast. We are covering everything in the Knight Rider television universe, from the classic 80s TV series to the 1991 reunion film, Team Knight Rider, and the 2008 relaunch series as well. So join TFG1Mike and Dion the Music Man as they go in-depth and Beyond the Night only on Geekcast Radio Network. You can find Beyond the Night in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com.
Kid?
Yes, Michael.
Just keep driving.
Ah, brave new world that has such putzes in it. You know, kids, a lot has changed while your old Uncle Joker's been away. New Gotham, new rules, even a new Batman.
It isn't 65 years in the future, but Legends of the Dark Knight has gone beyond. Batman beyond, that is.
The new boy. Ears are too long and I miss the cape, but not too shabby. Not too shabby at all.
Join Steve and Mike as they delve into the remaining episodes of the podcast, where they'll cover Batman Beyond, products, games, and more. Check it out only on GeekCastRadio.com.
You sure have your hands full.
Well, I have lots of reading to catch up on.
Good for you, Orko. You know, when you open a book, you're really opening a door to a wonderful world of entertainment and information.
Well, that's for sure. I'm finding out all about science and dragons and sports, but mostly bodybuilding.
You have a book on bodybuilding?
No, but carrying all these books sure builds my body.
Orko.
Hey, Geekcast listeners. Do you ever listen to Punisher Body Count and think to yourself, this show would be awesome if it had less toilet humor and was not about the Punisher? If so, join me, Emily Williams, as I class up the Punisher guys on Dane and Jake Get Classy. We're like the Oprah Book Club of comics. You'll hear us discuss famous works like The Dark Knight Returns and The Crow, along with graphic novels no one else is talking about, like Blue Monday and Blankets. You can find us at danajgetclassy.wordpress.com or on iTunes.
Today we learned about the importance of taking the responsibility to care about our fellow man. If you have a friend who needs help, who's having a difficult time, do whatever you can to help them out. Because as you saw in today's episode, no matter how big the problem, one person or one living creature can make a big difference. See you next time.
All right, so overall thoughts on the series so far. I will say a couple things. Number one, we've got a few evil characters and warriors so far. Not enough. We still obviously have a lot of characters that we have yet to see, which I'm looking forward to. We did get kind of a solo episode for Whiplash, which was somewhat of what we were asking for. Maybe not specifically Whiplash, but we still got it, so we got to see a little bit more about him. We got a pretty cool episode with Trolla overall, and escaping from Eternia for a little bit. And then with the Sorceress episode, that just, like we said, it's a great episode, so that's more of what we've been looking for with continuity and origins and backstories and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll get some more of this. Hopefully this isn't the last time they do something like this in Season 2.
It is a damn shame that they did not have the storyline of the whole family affair with Randor and Keldor and all. Yeah. It's like I would have loved to have seen the Keldor storyline done in the Filmation cartoon, but it's a damn shame that it wasn't done then. So far, these 3 episodes have really turned it around. I don't know what to expect. My expectations of this series at this point aren't high, but they're not low. I would say they're right there in the middle. Certain episodes, as always, are going to make me cringe. Like there's no tomorrow, but when I see stuff like Trouble in Trolla and like the origin of the Sorceress, it shows me that this series really does do very well put together stories.
Yeah, I agree. And for those of you that are watching this series on the DVD sets, not the most recent.
You're talking about the BCI sets, the original sets.
If you're watching them on the BCI sets. I noticed something in the second episode today, which is the Great Books Mystery, that it was getting towards the end of the episode, and my timer still had about 2 minutes left to play. And I thought, that's odd. There's never this much time when they get to the... I mean, the PSA was already done. I'm like, there's never that much time when you get to the credit scene. It scrolls through all the credits, and then it must be an Easter egg, because after that, there is a minute-long segment, maybe a little over a minute, all with shots and scenes of Cringer. Being scared, running away, some of his one-liners, etc. But it's a good minute long of Cringer tacked on to the end of this episode. And it even puts text on the very first shot that says, "Cat got your tongue." And then it just goes into all these different segments of Cringer. So if you have the BCI sets, go to the Books of Mystery, and fast forward to the credits, and you'll get a little kind of cool scene of Cringer.
So you're basically saying this is kind of like what Transformers used to do with their aftershots, like the Cassetticons, that kind of thing.
Well, it wasn't really. It wasn't like a commercial or anything. Animated. It was just like like a highlight of Cringer. So I thought that was cool. So you should check that out. Awesome. But that's all I got.
All right. Thank you for listening to Tales of Eternia. If you'd like to get in touch... damn it. This writing is crap. Thank you for listening to Tales of Eternia. If you'd like to get in contact with us to leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on this and all of our other posts. Send feedback to... Send email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Put Tales of Eternia in the subject line. Leave the show's feedback on iTunes. Please do this. We only have 4 iTunes reviews, so go check us out on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter. Geekcast Radio is the network Twitter. Mine is TFG1Mike. What is your Twitter?
OptimusSolo.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast or Radio Network. Call the voicemail line. Tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name, 502-526-5821. We hope you enjoyed the tales today, and don't forget to join us in our next adventure when we will continue Season 2, discussing episodes 78, 79, and 80, those being Betrayal of Stratos, The Ice Age Cometh, oh god, and the Arena. For now, I am OptimusSolo with...
TFG1Mike.
And the power of Grayskull. You all have the power.
Well, it's about time for us to be getting back to Eternia, Orko. The Sorceress's gate won't last much longer.
But you can't leave, not before our celebration feast. Why, there's a whole roast goobel in the oven.
Roast goobel? That's my absolute favorite.
Well, I suppose we can stay a little longer. Right, Cap?
What about Whiplash?
Oh, he'll keep. Bring on the feast, Montek.
Roast Goobel?